This episode of the Long Run Podcast is sponsored by Skechers.
Hello, everybody. 7 o'clock Friday night. It's the Long Run live stream and podcast brought to you by FORDY Runs Running Community and our good friends at Skechers. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. We're going to have a nice chat, running related, hopefully. Might go off in a few different directions, but we'll see how we go. But what our central bit this week is it's July the 1st, 2022. So we want to know how your year has gone so far, your first 6 months. It's halftime. It's like a halftime team talk sort of thing. We're going to get back in the dressing room, crack out the oranges and the cups of tea, and we're going to talk about how it's gone and how better we can do when the second half gets underway. So thanks ever so much for joining us. We would love your we are live on Facebook and YouTube, and we would love your comments and your questions as you're going along. Producer Toby is going to be putting up a code on the Facebook group, so if you can link in with that, and then we can see your name, because we love to give you a name, give you a shout out. We don't just like Facebook user, it could be anybody. So what we would like is your comments, so drop them on the thing, they will appear here, and we'll have include as many as possible. So tonight I'm Ian Wilkes, Chris Ford, Alan Bowley, even not his brother Adam, and Toby Frost. We're all here. So hello, gentlemen. How are we doing? Chris, how's your week been, mate?
I'm all right. I don't really know what we're doing tonight. Really, I'm a bit late to the party. I don't know what we're talking about, and yeah. So I've actually, it's not raining. I've been at the vets today. Bad got stung while we was out walking. So I don't really know what's going. I just seen a comment from Stuart Walton. Nick from the Run Testers has done a cracking. What about our review of the Pro 3? It's a bit out of order, isn't it? Straight in there. See that? Cut straight to the heart, Stuart. What about our review today? Real people, not journalists, and not paid.
Well, some of us are not journalists.
I'll chuck that straight out there. But yeah, I don't really know what's been going on this week. It's meant to be a bit of a down week this week. But I think it will be by the end of the week, because we've only done about less than 40 miles, so that'll be okay. But we've got a busy weekend with the Wear 10s, which we'll come on to. But yeah, I don't really know what's been going on today and this week. It's one of those again. So
yeah, but there's been a few.
What?
I was going to say there's been a few sort of like high-profile kit releases, haven't there? So I suppose you've been sort of like delving into a bit of that.
Yeah, I'm trying to carry on from the last couple of weeks' topic, but I'm trying to move myself away from the train of free stuff and non-impartial advice, even though they say it's impartial. So I'm trying to move myself away from that.
Why don't we just put you to one side then, and we'll talk to someone who's had a much more exciting week.
I was going to say, talk to someone who's had a much more interesting week and probably got some value to add.
Who's that? Right, Al. Where have you been, mate? What have you been up to?
I don't know where I'm coming, I'm going. I don't know what continent I'm on. I don't know what time it is. I'm suffering from a little bit of jet lag. So if I'm not my sharpest tonight, it's because I think I'm still in Florida.
We're used to your Wi-Fi not being particularly sharp, mate. So if you're sharper than that, then we're going to be on to a winner. So that should be fun. So you've been in America, and you've been park running in America.
Yeah, we took a little kind of, as you said, half-term break between marathon plans, and managed to find a little deal to take us out to Florida. And of course, whilst you're out there, you have to do a little bit of extreme park run. So we found the local park run to Orlando, went out there and smashed it at 7:30 a.m. at 100% humidity. So I've just uploaded
America's been a bit late to the park run party, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that it's slowly growing. I guess it might. So the park run we went to, about 45 minutes outside of Florida, was set up by an expat, and I guess that might be, a common thing that people that have migrated out or spending time in America have taken the park run concept. But they've bought into it. we did our run, got invited back for waffles and coffee. So we certainly spread the word. Absolutely.
Do you get waffles at Gunpowder? I don't know.
No, I was going to say, and you know what? It is a funny thing, this phenomenon in the US, that there's a lot of places that still don't have parkrun. We're so lucky over here. If you are listening in Mongolia and stuff, places like where we are, the #1 running podcast, parkrun's probably not reached yet, but it's like a free weekly 5K that takes place. But it's still not yet caught on everywhere.
I think there's a lot of it in the UK, which you don't actually realise it doesn't go much further. Obviously, there are some in Europe, but you go to any country in Europe or further, and there aren't actually that many.
I'm just going to check my app and tell you how many different countries parkrun is in.
There we go.
Come back to me in a moment, Wilco. I'll let you know.
But you also take a time. I mean, while we're talking, I'll talk about something else regarding parkrun. And while he's looking that up, I see our good friend, top 40 Southend bullet, that is Michael Wilkes. He came first in a parkrun this week.
Amazing, isn't it?
First past the line at Hadley in Essex in a time of 19 minutes and 18 seconds. Now, I know, I suspect there's some people who are thinking, well, parkrun's not all about who comes first and all that sort of thing. And it's all about the community. And
Correct.
But I get that. But I don't know about you boys, but I'm still of the opinion that, that is something that it's a pretty good achievement, and it should be, we should take our hat off to him. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, also, right, because Hadley, as far as I'm aware, I've not done it, but it's meant to be murder. So it's not like, if I know, Hadley is not flat, right? And I think a lot of it's like traily as well. So you think Wilksy is like quick on the flat. So to be able to stick him, if it is the route I think it is, around Hadley Castle and stuff like that, then that's even more impressive. But I just think it's parkrun 100% is not about winning, competing, and doing all that sort of stuff. But at the same time, I think it's great to see people achieving what they do, whether it be that they finish their first parkrun, or they finish their first 5K, or or they go out and smash out, the fastest time on the day. Then I think it should all be celebrated. And I think that's the critical thing with it all. And as long as everybody's having fun at the same time, who cares, right?
Yeah, and I think if people at the front are not sort of like so focused and intent on their times that they affect the enjoyment of other people, then I think there's room for it, and people sort of like blasting off and trying to do it as fast as they can. I think that's what, it happens in every other race that we do. It'll happen when we go to Ware and do the 10 miler on Sunday. There'll be people up the front, and I won't ever match the sort of times that they're doing. I'm never going to do 20 sub 20.
Actually, you know what, Wilco? I looked at the times because I was going to challenge Toby to try and put a time down, but there's no way in this world. 58 minutes in 2019 was the quickest time. That's incredible. 58 minutes. And again, it's not flat. So take my help. So Toby won't be doing that this weekend. But yeah, anyway, it does. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, big shout out to Wilksy. Always good celebrating these little these good things. I think, Al, did you find out the number?
21 countries.
There we go.
Yeah, pretty much across the globe. So you can parkrun in New Zealand and Australia, as well as Canada, America, obviously, South Africa, and a few countries whose initials I don't recognise. So there's a SGP and an MYS.
Singapore?
If anyone's run MYS.
MYS, is that Malaysia?
Malaysia?
Oh, yeah, we're number one in the I can't even say it,
Malaysia, yeah.
Oh, so we're number one in Malaysia, and you can't even recognise what their international code is for the country.
Right. That's probably SGP, Singapore, where I think we've top 3'd as well, haven't we?
Here's an interesting thing. On Sunday's video, good plug for Sunday's video, which is one of our challenge videos coming out, we actually turned up and there was a parkrun going on. Now, if somebody had actually planned the trip properly, or even done any planning, then we could have integrated that into the actual trip. But yeah, there was parkrun going on. So watch the video on Sunday, because we found a parkrun where we least expected it. So check that out on Sunday. Drops on Sunday.
Yeah, this was all shrouded in mystery last week, wasn't it? You're not prepared to offer any sort of light on as to.
No, but it is funny, because all I would say is there's like, I don't know whether they're called like Easter eggs, I think they say, or whatever it is. But if you look closely at one point of the video, there's a sign, right, just out of shot, it just says the word caution, something closed, right? Clearly, I've not seen that, right? And then there's an argument, and yeah, and that's all I'm going to say. But if you watch it, you will realise that I'm standing next to a sign that says caution, and then the rest then wheels go off a bit. So yeah.
And Tobe, you accompanied him on this trip. I'll just ask you: did you have a nice time? Did you have a nice little trot out?
Define nice. It was interesting, different, interesting. We did actually quite enjoy ourselves.
Yeah, it was.
We had a bit of a laugh.
It was typical 40 runs.
Oh.
We had a lot of laugh, bit of a cock up,
and a clip.
We did a bit of running.
And
then we had an ice cream.
It sounds like a perfect day. Marvellous.
Yeah, well, it was good. It was bleeding hard though. So, but that dropped Sunday. So watch that. And actually, Tobe doesn't know it, but in 2 weeks we're filming our second to last challenge video of the year. We've got this one, that one, and then another one to do, and then we're done for the year. So he doesn't even know he's doing it yet. But we're doing that in 2 weeks' time. So again, Strava's going to go private that day.
I love the way you kind of planned how many we got to do to the end of the year.
I'll be fair. Actually, it was Simon who said, "Oh, we need to get that one done before the end of the year." So we picked a weekend for it. You just didn't realise because you've been like busy. Anyway, right. So let's say hello to everybody because, as always, they've been sticking their stuff in. Oh, and I've got to do two things while I remember because, again, a bit of all over the place tonight. Keep your comments coming in. Thanks everybody sticking it in there. Keep it all coming. We'll come on to them in a minute. Appreciate that. But I've got a hypothetical question for every single person that's listening to this live, but also listening to this as a podcast. And again, thanks to everybody who does listen and leave the reviews and stuff and keep spreading the word. If, right, and this is like if, hypothetical people, remember, if there was to be a live show of this, what topic or what subject would be the most interesting as I would say, the starting point? Because guaranteed, right, we'll just go off and start talking about complete nonsense, right, like we usually do. But if there was a starting point in which we could, the topic on which you would want us to discuss live, so that would mean your interaction like you guys do.
We'd want it to be pretty broad, wouldn't we? We wouldn't want it to be sort of like, oh yeah, can you talk about
running?
Like that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, something, so for example, right, a training block, what's the sort of best way to find your way through a training block? What's the sort of positives, negatives, things to do, not to do? That's the sort of thing we're looking for. If you can send them in to Wilco,
longrunshow@gmail.com.
You've got 10 days, although this is not, this maybe sounds a bit
completely hypothetical.
Yes, completely hypothetical, obviously. But if you could send them in, that'd be handy. Because otherwise,
we'll stick a post on the 40 Runs Facebook group as well, so you can chat there. And if you're in one of the subsidiary groups like the Great North Run and the Marathon, Bright Marathon, all them sort of things, jump on the main group and join that as well. And we'd love to hear your thoughts. We're very interested in hearing your thoughts on this.
Okay, and the second thing is I've got to give a shout out to Skechers for supporting the podcast this week. Big love to them. I've got to give a shout out because the Go Run Ride 10, which I think I mentioned the other week, is like a slipper. If anybody wants a daily trainer, just to get a bit of trainer shoes, talk out of the way. But if anybody's looking for a daily trainer, but you just want a shoe that you can just literally do anything in, like go treadmill, do 5K, walk to the shops, walk the dog, do 10K, whatever, park run, get that shoe. It is so comfortable, right? It is ridiculous. So make sure you check that out, the Go Run Ride 10. But anyway, big shout out to Skechers, as always, for supporting the pod. So
Al, I think we should get a few comments and questions from the floor at this juncture.
If you want, we can go for that. Yeah,
let's go for that, mate.
So lots of love coming in for parkrun. Lots of people seeing parkrun as being a good way of tacking on a bit of speed into their training plans. Absolutely agree with that. Few comments, Chris, about the Pro 3s dropping. So I think you've done a video on that, haven't you? Or about to
Yeah.
do a video?
Yeah, we dropped that today. Yeah, we dropped that. Next week's the Pro 3 versus Speed 3.
Okay.
But
And
yeah, go on.
direct question from Ian Low. Best non-plated marathon shoe?
Stability and non-stability.
Doesn't say. So give him one of each. Just
I'd probably go Tempus, Saucony Tempus for non-plated mild stability. And well, it is kind of plated-ish. It's got a plastic sort of plate in the front, but the Glide Ride 3, I've not, put the review or anything like that out yet, but that's got to be worth a look. That is stable and sweet, that shoe. So it's not fast, but it's just a joy. So
can I just jump in at this juncture? He says he wants a non-plated shoe. Would that be a cost consideration, or would there be any other sort of thing to think about in that?
Some people don't get on with carbon plates. There can be, I'm guessing, carbon plate, right? Because there's obviously in the Speed 3 and other shoes out there, some of the Puma stuff, it's like nylon plates, so they're more flexible. But a carbon plate can be quite rigid, and it's not for everybody. So yeah, that could be one of the reasons. Maybe he's giving his foot some trouble, his hamstring, his calf some jip, anything like that, because it does, it does stiffen up the ride. So maybe he's looking for something more natural. The other shoe that I never tested but got a lot of love was the Fresh Foam More from New Balance. Was again high stack, high cushion shoe, but no plate. So maybe that's something for you. But I can't really comment other than what I've seen from other people. Brooks, it has to be in there. Brooks, no, it doesn't. It doesn't have to be in there. There's no reason for Brooks to be in there until they pull something out of their rear end and create an awesome shoe that actually matches the sort of ability of that company, because that company is amazing. Brooks are amazing. Brooks are doing great things with Pride and everything like that. They really are a great company, but they just need to get their design team out of the time capsule and put them into 2000, and even 2000 would be nice, and rock it out. That would be awesome, because they are a great company, and big love to them. And as I said the other week, the Glycerine 20, right, despite it being one of the most boring looking shoes I've ever seen in my life, is actually really good. So, but please get your designers into 2000 or even 1997 would be an improvement.
That's it. We did quite well up to about 17 and a half minutes, and that was it.
I thought I was being quite. There's some other companies I really want to go at, but I would get in a lot of trouble.
You don't want to burn all your bridges on one night, mate. You want to save a few.
I don't care anymore. See, this is the thing, right? Because I joked earlier about whoever it was made the comment about the Pro 3s and those guys. Yeah, they do a great job. The run testers, they do a fantastic job. Seriously, great bunch of guys, great journalists. They covered tech and stuff like that, and they all right. They get all the stuff for nothing. That's up to them. I've got absolute fair play to them. Their stuff is really, really good. But I really am into this sort of Ben Parks methodology of I just feel like it's the right thing to do. I'm sick of seeing it all on Instagram. I mean, I'm as much to blame as anybody. All right, pot kettle, I get it. But I just love the freedom of not giving the monkeys about what we say. And if something's good, say it's good. If something's bad, be honest and say it's bad. Don't just go on Instagram because you've got like a 20% code and you're getting something on the back or whatever. Do you know what I mean? You're trying to build whatever. I've been in that boat. I got caught up in it. I appreciate it that that everything I'm saying is pot kettle, right? And I'm just as bad as everybody else. But I do think at some point, it's getting too much. Stay true to your roots. We're here to have to run around and have some fun. So just don't get too commercialised. You know what I mean?
What else we got, Al?
Well, we've got a question from Charlie, but before I go there, I'm just going to defend Glenn. He was the guy that mentioned Brooks, but he's watching from the Pyrenees, so I can imagine he can.
Well, he was up there.
Hill sprints. So we'll have to get him on. He can talk about hill sprints in the Pyrenees.
Glenn, you're my hero. Imagine what his hills. Yeah, Glenn, do a cheeky little hill session. Probably like us running up Snowdon.
He should do a cheeky hill session. Then he can come to Ware on Sunday. He'd smash an hour for 10 miles.
Oh, I tell you what, Glenn, you must be so fit. Can you imagine if we put him on a flat course? He'd do it he'd do that marathon in like 2 hours.
So, Glenn, hopefully I rescued that one for you, mate. So you can
Well,
thank
thanks
me
very
later.
much, Al.
We'll go
Appreciate
back to Charlie. Charlie Rogers got their first ultra in September.
Oh.
The Thames Pathway 50k. The most they've run is 30k. What's that? 20 odd miles. So it's looking for some advice on any gels, any energy gels, and anything else we can offer up for those longer runs.
I mean, Al, you've done an ultra because you did the Brighton Marathon.
Yeah.
I'm not the best person to give any advice out on ultras because I've not done one deliberately. Ian Wilson's the person to ask. So, Ian, if you're watching, stick something in, please, about what to do. All I know from ultra training is that it's eating little and often, and usually they have those stations out, don't they, with the food on. But I would just make sure you're fueling more than you probably think, but you're fueling with stuff that's right for you. I know that doesn't help, but
they normally have.
I don't suppose Ian will be listening live because he's doing the Endure 24 this weekend, isn't he?
Yeah, big shout out to those guys. Yeah, like Sam in Watford and all those other guys.
Loads of people up there doing the 24-hour run, which sort of leads us, Al, to your sort of like swan song before you went off to investigate the Everglades and Disneyland and all that.
To Charlie's question, just before we lose that one, I know a lot of ultra events, and I assume therefore a lot of ultra runners do like to get into some real food. So the gels will take you some way around the course, but actually, if you're trying to fuel for 7, 8, 10 hours on gels, it ain't going to work. So a lot of ultra runners will look to kind of take their own fuel, their own food, and the stations will often put on things like sausage rolls and sandwiches and proper food, so that you get away from the synthetic.
I don't know why we're doing this marathon. Like we should be out there doing ultras.
I've just remembered,
can it?
Boys, I've just remembered what Ian Wilson's biggest tip was, and this is the thing: pork pies.
Yeah.
Do you remember? He said he fueled his ultras on pork pies. What a hero! Was it? Did he mention Scotch eggs? I can't remember Scotch eggs.
Yeah, sort of general picnic paraphernalia. Really.
Pork pies. So check out pork pie. Ian Wilson is a legend. He's like a machine, but he definitely said pork pies. So yeah, I remember it now.
So Al, sorry mate, I cut you off, sort of like flying off, and didn't mention the Harp 24 that you were involved in the big thunderstorm the week before you went away.
Yeah, so that's part of the reason we went off to Florida to recover, having done our own. So we talked about Ian doing Endurance 24. 2 weeks ago, there was 2 teams of FORDYs and a couple of solo runners. Big shout out to Karen Bircham and Margaret Montgomery that were doing it on their own. Went down Southend to do the Southend equivalent for a homeless charity. Same setup, 12 noon Saturday till 12 noon Sunday. We were in relay teams. So FORDY Chelmsford ended up with 4 in our team, and FORDY Surrey ended up with 5. Wasn't really a competition.
You sure?
Hayden's team smashed it and won the mixed relay. So
I'm so proud of you guys.
And as you said, it was supposed to be Endurance 24. It ended up being Endurance 18, Harp 18, because we had some amazing thunderstorms that actually brought the race to a suspension from about 11:30 at night till 5 o'clock in the morning. And what was scary is that we had a couple of runners. So Jan Smith from my team and Hayden's son Aaron were out on the course, and the lightning was literally striking feet away from our campsite. And I talked to Chris about this afterwards. I said, you see races where you see runners in distress, and there are people on the side and they're getting attention, and you feel sorry for them. But this was just downright scary because they were part of our team, and we couldn't help them because they were out there in the forest. Could have been 2-3 miles from base, having to put up with pretty scary conditions, and we was kind of scared in the tents, and we were all together. A big shout out to Jan and Aaron that pulled that one off, and still managed to bring the team in first. Epic.
How many people did it in terms of was it a big event, smallish event?
They didn't. They had a few teams not turn up. Yeah. I would say, and it's difficult to tell because across 24 hours, there's always people out on the course, but there were probably 400 to 500 people in total.
So my point, the reason I asked, do you think next year we go for it big time and basically get as many people from this podcast, from 40 Runs, YouTube,
absolutely.
running community, everything, and get just basically all transcend down, is that the right word? Down to wherever it was and just smash the life out of it for 24 hours?
Yes, and I think it's doable on so many different levels. You look at the abilities across the people we had in our teams, and you don't have to be an ultra runner. You don't have to be smashing out 100 miles in 24 hours. You know, the guy that won it, hats off to him, he did 90 miles in 18 hours, which was phenomenal.
Michael Wilkes.
Yeah. You know, so there are people literally just finishing, clocking in with the timing guys and going back out again, and they're just doing that constantly. There was guys from Mexico that couldn't understand any of the instructions, and we were worried that they weren't going over the timing mats.
Al, they're probably our listeners. Al, you weren't here last week. We found out that we are actually officially the biggest running podcast in Mexico. That's probably why.
I think that's probably it. But coming back to your point, it was another one of those days where it was all about the community. So I know lots of us have done endurance events like the P24 and the Goggins Challenge, where you do it from your bedroom, you do it from your own kitchen, but you take that challenge and you drop it in a field in the middle of nowhere, and it takes it up a notch. But there's that camaraderie. So we all spoke about it, saying, you know, we'll talk about that night for probably as long as we know each other.
Yeah. Well, it's like when we did. I said to you, didn't I? It's like when we did Ragnar. You know, I'll always have that with the boys. Yeah. Always have that. You know, with Fletch and the other guys in the bus, Eddie, Chris, and you know, Matt and everybody, Ian Wilson, just to, you know, so Stephen, so all the team, you do remember it. But more importantly, if I do it, do I get my own tent and my own toilet?
Yeah, you can have your own tent. Obviously, you can bring your own portaloo. Yeah. There were portaloos provided.
What if you could do that, Tobe? Bring your own portaloo.
I'm going to put you like at the other end of the field.
I quite like that. I'd do it, but I'd have to have the tent on my own, and then I'd only basically I'd let everybody come and talk to me other than Toby because he's annoying.
So community would only really go so far then.
No, I'm happy to everybody else to come along, but basically I just want to be away from Toby because you don't realise when Toby's tired, and you'll see that on the video on the weekend. He's the most annoying person in the world.
Oh, does he get grumpy?
He will literally argue because you're cutting out maybe 3 meters of a track. He will then claim that
more than 3 meters.
See what I mean? So when he's tired, so I'm happy to be with everybody else. It's just I need to be away from him when he's tired. That would be great.
Maybe I want to be away from you.
I do like the idea of my own portaloo. I wonder how much that would be. Where's admin? We need to get admin on that, Tobe.
Check out the Eldish Middle Isle special buys. I'm sure there'll be one coming up soon. It's called a tent over a bucket, I think. But it'll do the purpose. It'll serve the purpose.
Anyway, I'm up for this, right? So I think everybody who's listening, email, what is it? Harp24 40runs.com. What is it?
longrunshow@gmail.com.
Right, email in along with your other thing we spoke about. Tell us if you want to do it. If there's enough of us, I'm sure if we go to them and say, right, give us a discount, we can try and get a discount for everyone. So email in if you want to have a go at this next year. What's it called again, the event?
Harp 24 is the
Harp 24, something 24. But yeah, we'll just go and turn it up. And what could possibly go wrong? So I'm up for that. So if anybody else wants to come along, how big are the teams now? 25 people?
I think officially you can enter a team up to 12. Right. We stuck at that 4 to 6 because everyone wanted to do 4 or 5 laps, which means you were running during the daytime, you were running in the night time, you were doing a dark run, you were doing a kind of early breakfast run.
Sure.
So how far was the lap, mate?
So this year it was 5 miles. I think previously they'd done 4 miles. It's not so much how far is the lap. It was quite a challenging lap. So even if it was 2 or 3 miles, it was a trail. It was up and down. It was undulating, and in the dark. The irony is we never actually did any really dark runs because the race was suspended during those hours. But had we been out, it would have been pitch black. You would have kind of, pardon my language, shut yourself. Had you heard any noises, any creepy animals or whatever?
I might just run behind Tobe and scare him.
And that was part of the challenge, before
Just
the
go.
thunderstorms. We were all
Jump
kind of
out at him.
psyching ourselves up for that midnight till 4 a.m. run.
Nah, he's spooky.
It's,
I said
it's
to you
not
out
something we do every day.
when I did that 3 o'clocker at Ragnar, and it was like pitch black, and it was just I saw a light in front of me, and that was it. It was. Yeah, you're running just because you're frightened of getting I don't know, eaten or something. But yeah.
Well, we all said that would probably be our quickest lap because you just want to get it over and done.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you know what? I think it was. I make you right on that. Right, okay, boys. So look, do you want? There's a couple of questions out, and we've got to get on to looking back over the last 6 months. But at the same time, there's a question I've just seen come in, and there was a question last week that we kind of put off because you weren't there. So I think should we do those two, boys, in terms of the cross training one and the knees ones from last week, and then move into the 6.
Have you got the knees one?
Yeah, all it was, Al, was there was I can't remember who it was. It was on YouTube, but they asked twice, bless them, about strengthening knees. Any good ways to strengthen knees? And then you've just had another one from Rob Smith coming. Easiest and least time-consuming cross training. I hate any other exercise except for running. So do you want to do those two, Al, and then we'll get into the other thing?
I'll take Roberts first. Probably the easiest cross training is just walking. If you really don't want to get involved in getting into the gym or doing anything else, just walking is good for you. It will help rack up the miles. It will help strengthen. It will help aerobic. If you can do it at a little bit of pace, that's better still. Bit of speed walking. I like swimming. I think that's really good for the aerobic. It helps with your breathing, but I appreciate that's a bit time consuming because you've got to find a pool. You've got to kind of probably book a slot. You've got to get changed. You've got to get changed at the other end. So that's not something you can necessarily do, but I think swimming is a great one. If you're into your triathlete, obviously cycling, it's again a cardio workout without putting too much pressure on your knees in terms of the impact. It's a different kind of pressure, cycling. So there's lots of different things you can be doing. You don't have to be out kind of smacking gym 3 times a week. Having said that, if you are looking to really strengthen your posterior chain, which I've talked about in the past, being your muscles from your glutes all the way down, you can't be really kind of taking on board a program of simple bodyweight exercises. So it can start with things like squats, lunges. I think I saw a reference to calf raises. Again, it doesn't have to be complicated and it doesn't have to have lots of weights, because what you're doing is you're just working those muscle groups in a different way to what you would be doing when you're actually out running. So you're just kind of using additional muscles to help with things like stability. You're using additional muscles in terms of the intensity, and that all helps kind of build that overall strength and conditioning.
Yeah, and I suppose, Al, as well, particularly in these difficult economic times, the fact that you can do your body weight exercises from the comfort of your own home rather than forking out a big monthly fee to a gym, then that's going to help us all. Oh, I just want to say this. Can I just jump in? Yeah. I've just seen a message here from Jane Glennon. I was the fangirl who took your photo at Edinburgh. Hi, Jane. Thanks ever so much. We had such a great time. It was so lovely to meet you. Great if you could wish Andy good luck. I thought that was his name for a minute. Andy, good luck. Oh, hello, Andy, good luck. Wish Andy good luck at the Leeds 10K on Sunday. It's the first time since he smashed his first marathon at Edinburgh, and his 250th park run last week. Thanks, Jane. Absolutely. Thank you. Lovely to. It was lovely to meet you. Thanks ever so much for brightening our Sunday.
Just jump in on that comment, what Rob Smith said. Last thing for me, check out, there's a video we did on YouTube. It's 20 minutes long, PT. It's at a load of views, which is great news. But check it out. It's like a 20-minute hit session with like a load of mountain climbers and squats and stuff like that with a PT directing you what you got to do. So check that out. It's on the YouTube channel, which is obviously free to everybody.
Al is currently demonstrating a few bicep curls with a bottle of water.
2-litre bottle of water. So there's ways to adapt. You know, as you said, Wilco, when times are hard, just be imaginative. Go out. If you buy that water, use it. Use it as your dumbbell. There you go.
Right. Did we do the knees?
Yeah, kind of touched on it with
on the
with the
knees.
other
It's
bits.
all about working all the muscles from your glutes all the way down. It's
Yeah.
not just about the knees.
Yeah. There we go. So that killed
Right.
that.
Okay. Now we wanted to move on to talk about, because it is the 1st of July, so 6 months has gone. Where it's gone, I don't know. And then there's 6 months left of the year, so we are at that halfway stage. And obviously, I would imagine plenty of you have achieved your targets for the first 6 months, whether it's to run that first part run or to do your first marathon of the year and things like that. So I just wanted to, there was a message that came on, that was on the Facebook group, that I just wanted to go over again, which I thought was quite good. It was from Robin Atter. I hope I pronounced his surname right there, Robin. He said, since running the Edinburgh Marathon, I'm really struggling. I've done a few races since and just not felt it. All have felt like I'm at max pace, but not where I was before the marathon. It was his first marathon. Not sure if it's still marathon in me or just that I'm not with it, as my job is pants and stressful. Oh. How do you guys pick yourself up when you see yourself dropping pace and results?
Okay. Yeah, let's do that before we get into the 6 month thingy, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I would say from my side, it's totally natural to feel like that after a big race, big event, especially a marathon. It can take 4 weeks to get it out of your legs, maybe sometimes more. But people don't ever take into effect the impact on the mental side of things as well, because you've been in a training block for, I don't know, you could have been in 16, 18, 20 weeks, I don't know, but that takes in effect a toll on your mind as much as anything else. So you do have that lull after a training block, which is one of the reasons why I always have something booked, straight after. Like literally we had Southend half, like I think it was the week later or whatever it was. But also then targets for the rest of the year. It doesn't have to be a marathon. It doesn't, it's not marathon specific, but always having something booked in the diary that you've got to pick your butt off the floor and get out there and train for. It's actually been a bit annoying in a way that Edinburgh fell so late, with London being when it is, that I didn't have as much downtime, or if anything, between my training blocks. Because that will show up later on down the training plan. I will get more fatigue. So I'm trying really desperately, again, go back to my point I said at the start of this show tonight, about having a down week this week, or trying to. I'm desperately trying not to overtrain at the moment. I'm really in that phase where you can start to overtrain as you move into week 4 or into week 5 even. You can overtrain if you're not too careful. So I would say it's natural. Get yourself something booked that you can get yourself into. Now, it doesn't have to be a marathon. It doesn't have to be a half marathon. It doesn't have to be an ultra, whether it's a fast 5K that you book, local event, whatever, or you give yourself we talk about park run, give yourself a target of trying to beat your 5K PB time. It's a lovely time of the year to go out and start smashing up your 5K PB, because usually you can get it done early in the morning, or even book a 10K race. Just give yourself some focus, and then you can try and get yourself some form of structure back into your running. So let's say you're going for a 10K, you're going to need a lot of speed work. Yes, you're going to still need to work a little bit on the long distance to, keep up that stamina and that base that you've got. But you really, you can really dive deep into the speed sessions, get yourself down to a track. Maybe you've not been down to a track before. We've got some videos out that's got some track ideas, some sessions that you can do. Go and check them out. Take one of them along, flying 400s or, 800 repeats, whatever. But my point is,
I suppose alternatively, Al, as well, Chris has touched upon, targets with races and speeds and that. You can also motivate yourself by perhaps enjoying a few more experiences, perhaps, going to visit a few different park runs or something, and just getting out and trying a few different things. I suppose that would work just as well.
Yeah, I think we've spoken about this quite a lot in terms of getting obsessed by pace, race, Strava, and everything else.
Don't get me started
with the data side of
next
what
week.
We do. Is that next week, or am I kind of
next week
going too early?
No,
I've done 2 marathons this year. We're getting on to I won't give a rating out of 10. I'll save that for later. And it is about just swapping the focus sometimes. So I've found the parkrun tourism just a nice way of going out and having a fun run without putting any pressure, taking the camera, recording what I see, not worrying too much about times. I think also in answer to the question, we've talked about post-marathon blues. It is a real thing, and as Chris has alluded to, if you've been working hard for 18, 20 weeks plus, particularly if it's your first marathon, the psychological effect of suddenly having that gap can be quite damaging. And there's a reason why the elites tend to only focus on 2 big races a year, because it's blooming hard work. I remember reading a quote from one of the elites saying the difference between them and us everyday runner, in inverted commas, is that they get paid to rest. The rest of us, we have our day in the office with our medal, and then by Wednesday we're back, back into the stresses and strains of everyday life. And there probably is research out, and I've not looked into it in terms of how that has its impact as well. So don't beat yourself up. Give yourself time. As Chris has said, put something in the diary for some time in the future. And it will come back. Absolutely sure of that.
I'm sure plenty of people are in that sort of common position where they've done their, because the way that the calendar falls generally, I mean, we did Edinburgh, and that was a late marathon, wasn't it? It was like the last week in May.
Yeah.
And then you do have that month between the end of May and the end of June where, I mean, I got myself injured. That was how I feel with it. But you do have that time to do a bit of rest and reflection and things like that. And then you also, it's like the 2 halves of the year are split with 1 month quiet at the end, because we'll get to the end of November and then we'll get towards Christmas, and there won't be a lot going on then either.
Well, you say that, but people who are training for Brighton, people who train for Manchester, they would have already gone. They would have already started. And don't forget, and London's moving next year. London's going back to April. So you've got that. So you say that, but you don't really. If you, annoyingly, there's not really the best time to absolutely hit the sweet spot is to do the April to April, or April to October, or to, do it that way, because you do get a 4-week down patch. That's why Edinburgh's mucked everything up, really. Because,
well, you see, because you're doing London, which is that the 2nd of October?
I've got absolutely no idea.
It's at the beginning of October, then I know that. But then I'm doing my autumn marathon will be Dublin, which is right at the end of October.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling pretty smug about myself that I've managed to organise these. So I've got a little bit of a rest in the middle to get myself injured, and now.
Yeah, but I've only got it because it's a deferral. Because my A race is the Dam, which would have been perfect because I would have had a couple of weeks downtime. But because I've got London, and I want to get myself, and as I've always said, I think I said it in the video as well about the training plan, I want to take 2 weeks off. When I go on holiday, I want to take 2 weeks off. All right. Me and the girls, we're going to mostly be in the pool. And I probably would have done enough laps to swim the channel. But I do want to generally take 2 weeks off of training, off my phone, off of everything. Do you know what I mean? And really just take 2 weeks off of Strava. So actually, and lead into that, next week we're doing the Strava and other running app-based products. Thank you. Podcast about, are we addicted to running apps? Send your emails in to Wilco.
longrunchurch@gmail.com.
So give us your opinion if you are addicted to Strava and other running-based apps, because there are others out there that are very good. So are you addicted? Do you think that it's negatively impacting your life? Do you think it's positively impacting your life? And do you think that there is a reason that it's orange? I'll leave that out there. Cryptic, but I'll leave that out there. Yeah, I've researched that.
Go on, mate, you go.
No, I was just going to say we better crack on because we've got 15 minutes and we still haven't even actually.
Yes, because we want to say, is it a natural? What I'm saying is it a natural break at 6 months to? I mean, when I say how would you look back on? I don't want to say, oh yeah, well I could have done better at this, could have done better at that. I mean, in the whole sort of scheme of things, your whole approach to reflecting on a 6 month period of activity.
I think it's good to look back after a training block. I said that before, like I did with Edinburgh in that video. I think it's always good to look back after a training block, but not too much depth, because you can go, especially if you're then rolling into something else, you can go a bit like too crank on it. But doing a 6 month check over, I wouldn't say necessarily a review, but a check over, and more to look at the positives, Because if you've got something that's coming up in the second half of the year, what positives can you take out of the first half of the year? It's always good to look for the positives. Yes, we want to learn from the negatives. I agree with that. But if you're trying to ride a wave, a crest of, momentum, you want to always probably go for what the positives were. So whether it was, park run PB, we spoke about park run today, or whether, you managed to grab a decent half marathon. It doesn't have to be a PB, but you ran a race that you was really proud of because, you had to dig in, or, something like that you can take out, or simply the fact that you found a gel that was working for you, and you can now take that into the second half of the year. It is good. It is in June, that is, as you say, Wilco, it is usually a period of time where there's a couple of weeks between, let's say, main training blocks of people where they are, what they're doing, to have a quick look back. And me personally, I recommend it for my runners that I'm coaching. And I'd recommend it to everybody else, just sit back, even if you've got 5 minutes to yourself, or out on one of your runs, you're just plodding along on an easy run, 3 miles, you've got half hour. Just think to yourself, what did I do? What did I do well in the first half of the year? What was actually really good? What was a really good positive that I can take and learn? All right, that was a bit pony, but that's really good that I can learn from that. That's what I would do if it was me.
And I suppose as well, Al, the nature of the way that running is that we have sort of like spring seasons and autumn seasons. There's a very good chance that people are going to be planning to do very similar things in the second half of the year that they did in the first. So that would enable them to be. It would perhaps be easier for them to sort of like use what they've viewed and bring it immediately to the table when they're doing their sort of like their marathon training, or perhaps a big half marathon that they've got planned in the second half of the year.
Yeah, the calendar does tend to split itself into spring and autumn marathons, and that's not to assume that everyone's going to smash out 2 marathons a year, and with the timing of the training and the weather impact, there is a chance to kind of split your year into 2 and focus on kind of what you want to get out in the second half compared to what you've done in the first. And I think Chris has covered a lot of points there in terms of focusing on the positive. I suppose for me, looking back at my 6 months, it would be easy to jump into the negative because I didn't PB anything. And some races where I kind of didn't quite get what I wanted, but I put some notes down, and actually what kind of hits me is the variety, and that kind of shows why I do it. It's for the fun. So yeah, I did smash out 2 marathons. Didn't quite get the times I wanted, but I can reflect on all the reasons why. But we've done some extreme park runs. We've been to Dublin. We're planning to go to Wales. Been to Florida to park run. Done a Harp 24. I'm a third of the way to getting my Cal badge on park run. And you look at all those, they are all different experiences. Every week I'm trying to throw in a different experience. And I'm hoping, and I'm sure it will, make me a better runner. Might not make me a faster runner, but it will make me a better runner over the long term, because I'll be getting something out of that, whether it's enjoyment, whether it's a different experience and learning something. And you mix all that up and hope that when you do try and focus on that A game, that A race, that plan, that you take something from all of those.
I've got a question for the audience, listening live or emailing at whateveris.com. Would you rather be, just cracking one, maybe it's a subject for a podcast. Would you rather be a better runner or a faster runner?
Ooh.
Now, you could say the two are the same thing. I don't think they are. But throw that out. I don't think answer it now. Let email in. What is it, Wilco?
longmanshow@gmail.com.
Right. So send that in, and I think it's a good podcast subject, actually, boys. Should we make a note of that?
Yeah.
Tell admin to write a note of it. So, is what would you rather be, a better runner or a faster runner? I'll just leave that out there. Send your emails. Don't answer it, Paul.
Paul, you've gone too early, mate. He's up.
Email in. We're starting a poll. Toe, what about you? You've said absolutely nothing tonight and added no value at all. You ain't even had your Barnet cut ready for this weekend. But
that's like most weeks.
Yeah, go on. Tell us.
What my year so far?
Yeah.
Rubbish. It started off Started off quite well and then kind of tailed off about 6 weeks before Edinburgh, as a lot of us know.
Yeah, but you still PB.
I did PB in there, so that's
But
all
it killed you. Like, you're still suffering now, but
Well, I think I said to you, isn't it, the other week? I think on Monday it was the best run I've had since Edinburgh. You know, going back to that Facebook post, really, same thing. So it was effectively 4 weeks, almost to the day, that it took me to get back into feeling all right and running again, and running not like I was struggling or pushing through or forcing myself through it. And yeah, had a great run. Went and found some hills. Loved some hills.
I've just realised why, Tobe. I've just realised why you got your mojo back. Because you spent all that time with me last Saturday. That's what it is. It's you can actually connect the two up, people. You can connect the dots. Tobe, I've got Toby's mojo back. You're welcome. So if anybody else wants their mojo back, come with us on the next challenge. Email in challenge@fordyruns.com or wherever the email address is.
Hashtag mojo.
Yeah, you can do that and we'll get your mojo back. So whoever that was who was struggling in Edinburgh, get in touch. You can come down and do the next challenge with us. That will get your mojo back. Either that or it'll scare you to death. One or the other.
One or the other.
What about you, Wilco?
Well, I think what I'll take out, I completed my second marathon, which I was very pleased with, and it was tough. But I think what I'll take out of the experience that I'll take out is what happened in the aftermath, really, because I picked up a slight injury. I mean, people do have all sorts of problems and ongoing issues, and are out of action for weeks upon months. But it was really the first injury setback that I've suffered since I first laced up a pair of Brooks. It's been one of those things that I've been incredibly fortunate with over the last sort of 4.5 years that I've been doing it, 4 or 5 years. And it sort of like hit me, and I thought, how am I going to cope with this? How am I going to be able to manage to not go out and run whenever I feel like it, and do exercises and go to the physio and things like that? And I've been, touch wood, quite pleased with the way that it's gone, like the recovery and what I've learned from it, and the got exercises and things like that, so I'll be able to hopefully maintain my fitness better. I think that'll be the biggest thing that I'll take out of the last. There's a bit of a recency bias with that because it all happened in the last sort of 2 or 3 weeks, but I think I'll take quite a lot out of that. And I think that's really beneficial, that you don't just think, oh yeah, well, I smashed another marathon and I've done a PB in this. For the mental side, well, both mentally and physically, that's going to have a huge benefit for me, hopefully, in the next sort of like year or two. So I'm really pleased about that.
Yeah. A lot of that's recent now, isn't it? But you're going to ride that momentum.
Yes.
He's going to ride that momentum into the
but I mean, that's given me a lot more confidence that if I've got a problem or a niggle and I'm thinking, oh, is this, that, I'm 90% sure know what it is that, that I need to strengthen that posterior chain that Al loves talking about.
You've got to strengthen it, bro. You've got to strengthen it.
And I've been fortunate that I haven't necessarily had to really learn the hard way. It's been a nice reminder.
Yeah, that's true.
And I've had a great time. That's another thing that I'll take out.
I keep going back to my point. It's the most important time. It's the reason we should be all doing it is because, we want to have some fun.
I've done some nice races. I've met loads of people. I've done great mates. We've had lots of fun on here. There's been loads of stuff. So that's what I like. And so taking it into my next training thing will start on the 11th. The 11th of July. And
are you going to move above 60% though? Just so everybody knows, I bring you all into this convo, all you listeners all over the world. Wilco's philosophy of running is that he runs effort-wise 60%. He doesn't believe.
I'll explain.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Hang on, Wilco. You explain, then everybody just let us know at the email. Put the email at the end of your explanation, so they can then come in and say whether they agree or disagree.
What happened was I went out with the people lovely folks at Broxbourne. We went out for a Sunday run about 2 weeks before Edinburgh, and we were sat having a cup of tea afterwards down by the canal. And somebody said, I don't know why I don't like running. I hate running. And I said, well, I like it. And they said, why do you like it? And I said, because it is encouraged that you don't do everything at 100%. because I have lived my whole life not doing things at 100%. I'm sure that I could have attended a better university if I'd have been at school and done 100% effort on my A-levels, but I didn't. I could have played football at a half-decent level if I'd have tried a bit harder, but I didn't. I didn't do it at 80%, 100%. So basically, I've swanned through the best part of 50 years doing everything in my life at 60% effort. And now I have found something where you are encouraged not to go full whack, take it easy. It's just great. 80% of the time, you are encouraged to do stuff at my optimum level of effort that I've applied to my whole life, which is why I like running.
So what Wilco's now actually going to write a book. You've all heard of the 80-20 book that sold billions, right? Wilco's going to do the 60% book. The funniest thing was on Tuesday, right? We had to do this session on Tuesday. It was brilliant. It was like 3K pace, 5K pace, 10K pace. And I said to Wilco, can you just try and do 61%? And he absolutely point blank refused. He said, no, I will do those paces, but at 60%. And he still can't, because your times, Wilco, if you even went to 65%, would come down massively. But I will say one thing to you, Wilco. You do kind of contradict yourself a little bit, because one thing I have seen you do 100% at is eat before a marathon. The man who goes big and has double McDonald's breakfast, fish and chips for lunch, pasta, dough balls, and 4 or 5 pints the night before a marathon, and then does a PB is 100% man. So I'll leave that.
I just
there.
wanted to say, I just wanted to. I don't know whether I told you this on Tuesday. Yeah, I said that we did this interval session. And it was pretty intense, and the last session, last sort of like 400 meters was 3K pace, and it was tough. We were smashing it. It was pretty close evening. It was hot and all that sort of thing. And I just finished it. And then my phone beeped on my Garmin, and it was a message from someone at work. And it just said, all right, Wilco, how's the running going? So I was like, well, yeah, yes, I'm just about to fall over and be sick over a public park. Yeah. So talk about the timing. I literally just finished. Oh, Wilco, how's the running going?
On the plus side, Wilco, you didn't get the thing from Garmin. It says you've been unproductive.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that would have.
I'm not gonna go for a higher spec so I can have someone from Garmin telling me I'm being unproductive. That'd be
Check out the video of the 255. Good plug, Wilco.
Now, shall we just?
Yeah.
We're banging on nearly 58 minutes. Should we just try and get a couple more questions in before? Because
let's do a quick 5 questions, Al.
Okay,
let's go.
Right, Penny Rusbridge, question about running without a watch. We're not going to answer that this week because I think that's going to fall lovely into our
next week
Strava segment next week.
Send your questions, send your answers into that.
Yeah, Jonathan Winter suffers from a little bit of anxiety before he goes out on a long run, not even necessarily a race day. Any tips to help him overcome that anxiety?
Familiarise yourself with your routes. Run to a place that you're comfortable with. Run to a place that you know where it is. Run to a place that you can bail out of. Get all your kit out. But knowing the route, I found, so say someone who suffers with anxiety, knowing the routes helped me. I know I can literally tell you, Toby can back me up on this. I know every toilet on the way to Hertford. I know every place that I can stop, turn around. I know every out off the river if I need to get off the river because I have a problem. I literally know the route like the back of my hand. There is a reason why we do, poor old Toe, we do a lot of the same routes, and that's basically down to my anxiety. So I would understand the routes, know where you're going. That will help massively with anxiety around long runs.
Okay.
Right, next.
Yeah. So Paul Pitcher, thanks for your question. I suppose it is, but more importantly, he's thrown his missus under the bus because his question relates to his wife's PB at the Bungay 10K, where she managed to throw up at the finish line. Has any of us ever experienced that? I must admit I haven't. I've had wobbly legs a few times, but I've never actually puked at the finish line.
If you do 60%, never happens.
There you go. You've heard it.
Never a risk. Yeah, do 60%. Like do Wilco. Hashtag 60%. Oh.
Okay. Well, there's the answer. There's no point trying to follow that, is it? That is the definitive answer. Jay wants to know any recommendations for good electrolyte tablets. I've talked about salt sticks before, but other brands are out there, and I guess it's any drinks that claim to have some of those mix of electrolyte, sodium, potassium, magnesium ingredients.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. The Kendall one, I'm liking in this time of year. Big advocate, as you know, hopefully by now, of Active Root. Easy on the stomach, plenty of electrolytes in there. And the other one that I've been really purely for convenience is the High Five. They gave them out at Edinburgh, the little tablets that, you get them in a tube. And literally, you just, I go down, like I said it before on the video we did, or the podcast we did about, electrolytes and stuff. I pop one in, big glug of 500 mils. I have that an hour before I go out. It's just so easy. You don't have to open the packet up, scoop it out, and it goes all over the floor and Buddy starts eating it all. I just get a tablet, drop it in, forget about it and glug it down. So the High Five ones I've found are good as well. But I say Active Root's awesome, but I just can't be bothered to open a lid up and scoop things out. That's how lazy I am. Yeah, next one.
Okay, I think this might be the last one given the time we've got. Rod Lambert. He's been awesome over the marathon distance since 2019. He's brought his time down from 3:56 to 3:44 this year. He's aiming for 3:30. So what advice have we got for him, apart from running a bit faster, obviously?
Focus on those lactate threshold runs. It's funny enough, I was on with a client of mine. He's looking, those sort of times a bit lower. Those lactate threshold runs really start putting that pace in over a good period of time. That will really build you up and really build that speed with the endurance. So look at your lactate threshold running. How much are you doing it? Can you increase it? Obviously, don't kill your body, but the idea of lactate threshold running is, you can do it, but you could then go again as well. So it's not a body wrecker like a hard interval session. It's something you can build on. So I'd look at that. If you've got enough lactate threshold running in your training plan, that will help. Al, disagree, agree?
Totally, 100%. Yeah, they're the ones we tend to forget about. Speed work, hills work, yeah, but the lactate threshold builds that speed endurance. Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, we hope that we've provided some sort of informative content and a bit of entertainment for you tonight as well. Thanks ever so much for joining us again. We are here at 7 o'clock every Friday, rain or shine or thunderstorm. And we always on Facebook or YouTube, so you can always join us then. But if you can't make it, don't panic, because you can download us on your favourite podcast provider of choice. So if you're on Amazon or Apple or Spotify, then you can find us on there. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thanks to everybody for all their comments. It's really valuable. And we love receiving them. We love all the chat. You really contribute to the show, so that's great. So we'd like to say thank you. Thank you very much to our sponsors, Skechers, for their continued support. We are available next week. We should be there. We are doing the Wear 10. I think all four of us are there. You were there, Al?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're at the Wear 10 miles and 10K on Sunday. So if you go in and you don't know us, pop along. The tent will be up. So you'll see us there. You won't miss us. We'll all be in pink. There'll be loads of us. So come along and say hello.
We'll be loud. We will be loud.
We'll be very loud. So please come along and say hello. If you can't make it, best of luck with all your runs this week, particularly the Endure 24 people. You can smash it. You have a great time. And we will be back with you next week at 7 o'clock. longrunShow@gmail.com for your messages and your emails. And remember, if we were doing a live show, what should we do? Let us know. Thank you very much. Cheers, gentlemen. Tobe, run the content, and we'll see you next week.